Right, so hey everyone, and welcome back to another budget photography video. So, telephoto lenses, they are not cheap. They're really not. But what if we could make it cheap? Well, I've got just the perfect lens for you. Let me introduce you to the Tamron 55-200 f4 to 5.6. Now this is possibly one of the darkest lenses that I own, being at a maximum aperture when fully zoomed in, a 5.6 aperture. So that is really quite a dark lens. Most of the lenses that I own are an f4, which, yes, okay, it's fair enough, that's only one stop, but that's still one extra stop of darkness on the lens. Now, images from this lens look really, really nice. They actually do, and I'm kind of impressed, bear in mind that I paid about £50 for this lens, and it came with the lens hood as well. So, for £50, you're getting a decent amount of lens for your money. I mean, it's fairly compact and it's a fair decent amount of zoom, and as I said, images look okay. Now yes, if you are going to be using this on a full frame camera like I am, you are going to have to change the aspect ratio to crop in 1.6 times, or what you could do is shoot on full frame and then crop in later. But if you do use this lens on a crop censored camera, you're going to get more reach, which is even better. Now, there's not really a lot to say about this lens other than the fact that, as I said about the 50mm 1.8, it's decent. That's all I can really say is it's decent. Bearing in mind, you're paying about £50 for this lens. So you shouldn't really set your expectations up here. You should set your expectations all the way down to the floor, because you're not going to be expecting much for your money. But it delivers, and I'm impressed. The sharpness is great. The color reproduction isn't the best, but you can always change that in editing if that is something that you do. Not every photographer edits, and I understand that. Not everyone wants to edit. Some want to just, get it right in the camera, so you should probably change your colors in camera. Now, this lens's biggest problem is, well, frankly, how loud it is. Its autofocusing motor is not very quiet. It's fairly snappy, but it's not very quiet in doing it. So if I turn this on now and we go to film, if I turn the autofocusing off and set it to behind the camera, there is a field thing behind this camera. Zoom out to 55, so, and recording. So as you can see, that's all in focus, that's out of focus. If I then turn the autofocusing motors on, you'll see that actually pretty snappily it does lock onto the R6 just there, so that's fairly decent. The autofocus is not too bad at a certain distance. Anyway, getting back. Now, the biggest problem with the lens is, as I said, the loudness of the lens. It's not very quiet. It's a very old focusing system, and you can definitely tell that this lens is just incredibly old, purely from the fact of kind of really what it's made of. I mean, it's a Tamron lens, and it's all made of plastic. You've got a plastic lens mount here. You've got a plastic lens, a plastic body. You've got fairly decent actual optics that make the images look really quite nice. You've got a fairly decent small-ish lens body, but it all does feel really kind of pound shop kind of thing. But here's a thing again that I had with the Nifty 50 last week, and that is the the focusing ring here. We've got another focusing ring, and we've obviously got the zoom ring here. Let's put this down. we've obviously got the zoom ring here, but we've also got the manual focus. But you can tell that Tamron don't really want you to use the manual focus. They've made it really hard to get to. It's really small. Now, yes, I will give them, there's little teeth in there that are nice and grippy, but it's actually kind of uncomfortable, especially if you do tend to use manual focus a lot. So they really do want you to go on the auto-focusing, and you can actually hear the auto-focusing when you push manual focus and just kind of use the manual focus. When you switch it to autofocus and just, oh God. Now compare that with this lens of when I move out of frame, you can't hear anything at all. Now, yes, bear in mind that my microphone is here and not next to the lens, so there is that issue as well. But I mean, yes, this lens is a modern lens, and this is probably what, early 2000s, late 90s kind of lens. But even then, I have lenses that are older than this lens, and they're a lot quieter than this lens. So this lens is definitely built to a budget. And where they kind of really went budget on it was, well, with the sound of the auto-focusing motor. But if you can push past the sound of it, if you're not really worried about the sound of the autofocus, or you're just wanting to use manual focus, then yes, this is a fairly decent lens. And I've had one of these before and I really quite liked it, but I ended up giving it away with another camera that I didn't use anymore, but now I've bought another one. So this is going to go back on my shelf with the rest of my lenses. Anyway guys, thanks for joining me in this video. I'll see you in the next one.